The night sky above the alien world was full of strange lights. Captain Reed lay inside the broken remains of his ship, his chest rising and falling with heavy effort. The crash had left his vessel torn open, wires sparking and systems offline. He had been trained for survival, but nothing in his training prepared him for this place. The air was thick and heavy, the ground pulsed with faint energy, and his oxygen gauge was dropping lower every minute. He pressed his helmet, listening to the broken beeping of his life support. Come on, he whispered. But the machine only blinked red in return. Reed knew he had only minutes before his lungs would choke on the strange atmosphere. He tried to move toward a panel, maybe to repair something, but his vision blurred. Each step felt like dragging chains across his body. Then, in the silence of the alien night, he felt it, a presence watching him. Reed spun around, his hand reaching for the sidearm strapped to his leg. The trees glowed faint blue in the distance, their leaves like glass shards shining under moons. From between them a figure appeared, tall and graceful. It was a woman, but not human. Her eyes glowed like liquid gold, her skin marked with silver lines that shifted like living tattoos. She moved with calm steps, as if she had always belonged here, as if the world itself moved aside to let her through. Reed raised his weapon, his voice weak. Stay back. The alien woman tilted her head, her lips moving as if testing sounds not made for human ears. Then in broken English she spoke. Wait. Let me adjust before you move. The words froze him. He expected an attack, a threat, but her voice carried no malice. Only strange urgency. Reed staggered back, confusion battling with fear. What are you? He whispered. She stepped closer, her hands raised not in violence but in a gesture of calm. Her fingers traced symbols in the air, glowing patterns that floated like sparks. She touched the front of his chest plate, and suddenly the suffocating weight on his lungs eased. His oxygen levels steadied. The warning lights turned amber instead of red. Reed gasped, pulling in a breath that didn't burn. He stared at her, struggling to understand. You fixed my suit, he said, his voice full of disbelief. The woman nodded slowly, her golden eyes never blinking. Adjust, she repeated, tapping her chest as if to explain. I adjust your life. Reed lowered his weapon slightly, though his hands still shook. Nothing in his mission report spoke of aliens who would heal instead of harm. He had been warned of hostility, of danger, but never of this. The woman studied him like he was both fragile and important. Her eyes carried knowledge, but also a sadness. She pointed toward the distant forest, shadows moving within it, low growls echoing through the night. Not there, she said firmly, not yet. Not safe. Reed followed her gaze and shivered. Dark shapes shifted between the glowing trees, their eyes burning red in the dark. Predators, waiting for him to stumble closer. The woman stepped in front of him, her body a shield though she held no weapon. You wait, she said again. I adjust first. Reed realized then that he was standing between life and death. If he ignored her, he might walk straight into a nightmare. If he trusted her, he might live. But what price would trust demand? The alien woman reached out her hand, slow and patient. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Human, broken skyship, but strong heart. She pressed her palm lightly against his chest. Where his heart beat fast, Reed felt warmth spread through his body. Not just survival, but energy. It was as if she had tuned his body to the rhythm of this strange world. He wanted to pull away, yet he couldn't. Her touch was both terrifying and comforting. He thought of his orders. To make first contact carefully, to survive, to report. But here was first contact in its purest form, not with soldiers, not with weapons, but with a single alien woman who chose to save a human instead of letting him die. Reed lowered his weapon fully, though his voice was still sharp with doubt. Why help me? He asked. The woman's glowing eyes softened, her lips moving slowly. Because you must not move alone. She stepped back, her silver markings shifting like rivers of light. Behind her, the forest growled again, the threat growing closer. Her gaze never left his, as she repeated, calm but firm, wait. Let me adjust before you move. And in that moment, Reed realized this was only the beginning. The crash, the broken ship, the failing oxygen. None of it compared to the mystery now standing before him. An alien woman, offering help in a world that wanted him dead. A warning, a promise, and a secret hidden behind golden eyes. Reed's fate had changed the moment she spoke, and deep inside, he knew his next choice would decide not just survival, but the future of whatever bond this strange encounter had begun. Captain Reed stood frozen, his chest still rising with steady breaths thanks to the alien woman's strange touch. Her words echoed in his mind. Wait, let me adjust before you move, and they sounded simple. But they carried a weight he could not explain. It was not just about fixing his suit. It was something deeper, something beyond human science. The alien woman stepped closer, her movements slow, graceful. Like water flowing around stone, she raised her hand again, her silver markings glowing brighter with every motion. Reed felt a vibration in the air, like invisible waves moving through his body. He shivered not from fear alone, but from the strange warmth spreading through his veins. Her glowing fingers hovered near his helmet, and then she tapped gently against the side. The crack in his visor sealed itself. The glass shifting as if it were alive, Reed gasped, pressing his hand against it. How did you do that? He whispered. The woman tilted her head, her golden eyes reflecting the flickering lights from his broken ship. Adjust, she said again, as if that one word explained everything. Reed shook his head, trying to make sense of it. Was she manipulating energy, matter, reality itself? It felt impossible, yet the evidence was clear. His oxygen was stable, his visor repaired, his body no longer weak. Still, part of him feared what this adjustment truly meant. If she could fix him so easily, could she also break him with a single thought? The alien woman lowered her hand and looked toward the forest again. Strange growls echoed from the glowing trees, the sound carrying hunger. She raised her hand once more, sketching symbols in the air. The glowing marks floated like sparks before fading. The growls stopped, replaced by silence. Reed blinked in shock. You controlled them, he said slowly. The creatures, they stopped because of you. She shook her head, her silver lines dimming slightly. Not control, she whispered. Adjust. Reed felt a chill down his spine. Whatever she was doing, it was not domination. It was harmony. She was not bending the world to her will. She was tuning it like music until it calmed. That realization unsettled him more than violence would have. Because violence he understood, but this balance was something alien to him. The woman studied him again, her eyes narrowing slightly. You human, heavy, she said in broken words. This world does not hold you right. She stepped closer. Touching his arm, Reed felt his entire body shift, as if gravity itself had loosened around him. His boots no longer sank so deep into the pulsing soil, his muscles no longer strained. It was as if she had adjusted the planet's pull on his body. Reed staggered back, overwhelmed. What are you doing to me? He asked, his voice sharp. The woman's voice was soft, calm. Help you walk, help you live. Reed looked at his trembling hands, then back at her glowing form. He wanted to distrust her, to hold on to suspicion, but survival had no room for pride. Without her, he would already be dead. Still, questions tore at him. Why him? Why now? And why would an alien woman risk helping a stranger from the sky? The silence between them grew heavy until Reed broke it. What do you want from me? He asked. Her eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment he thought he saw sadness in them. You carry... Dangerous thing, she whispered. I feel it. It calls. Reed stiffened, his heart pounding. Dangerous thing. Was she talking about the AI core hidden deep in his wrecked ship? He had not even mentioned it. Yet she seemed to sense it. How do you know that? He asked, his voice almost a growl. The woman tilted her head again. Adjust shows me. Reed took a slow step back, gripping his weapon though he did not raise it. If she knew about the core, then she was more than a healer. She was a threat to his mission, yet even as fear sharpened his instincts, he remembered her saving him, healing him, protecting him from the monsters. His logic screamed to keep distance, but his survival screamed to stay near her. Caught in that struggle, Reed's chest tightened again, not from oxygen failure, but from the weight of trust he could not decide to give or withhold. The alien woman walked a few steps ahead, then looked back at him, her eyes glowing in the alien light. Follow, she said, her tone both gentle and commanding. If you move alone, you die. Reed clenched his jaw, staring at her hand stretched toward him. Her words struck deep because he knew they were true. The forest growled again, distant but waiting. His ship lay behind him, broken and useless, and before him stood a mystery, an alien woman who spoke of adjustment, balance, and dangers he could not yet name. Reed hesitated only a moment longer before stepping forward. Her golden eyes softened, and for the first time, a faint smile touched her lips. The moment felt fragile, like glass ready to break. As they began walking together, the night whispered with strange sounds, the stars above burning brighter than he had ever seen. Every step carried Reed deeper into a bond he could not understand, and deep inside he realized that survival was no longer the only question. The greater mystery was her strange power, her warning and her reason for helping a human at all. The forest loomed ahead, silent and waiting. Reed's mind filled with doubt, but her words guided him still. Wait. Let me adjust before you move. And though he hated the uncertainty, he obeyed because somehow he knew she was not just adjusting his body, but adjusting his fate. The alien woman walked ahead, her glowing silver markings lighting the path like lanterns. Captain Reed followed, his steps lighter now because of her strange adjustment. The world around them pulsed with strange life, the ground glowing faintly under his boots, and the trees shimmering with glass-like leaves. Every sound felt too sharp, too alive, as if the planet itself was listening. Reed's mind kept circling back to her words. You carry dangerous things, she had said, and he knew she meant the AI core hidden in his ship. It was a piece of human technology meant for deep space communication, but it was also unstable. The higher command had warned him not to activate it near alien systems, yet somehow this woman knew of it without ever seeing it. That knowledge cut deeper than any wound. They moved closer to the edge of the glowing forest. Shadows stretched between the trees, twisting shapes with eyes that burned like embers. The sound of growls rumbled in the air. Low and hungry, Reed tightened his grip on his weapon, ready for a fight. But the woman raised her hand and whispered sharply, No. Her voice carried both warning and command. Reed frowned, lowering his weapon but not relaxing. What is in there? He asked. The woman's golden eyes glowed brighter, and for the first time her calm voice carried something like fear. Old hunger, she said, sleep inside, but wake if human steps. Her gaze fixed on him, piercing. Your weight. Your sound. They call it. Reed tried to peer into the shadows, but the darkness between the glowing leaves seemed endless. Something huge shifted in the distance, the ground trembling softly beneath his feet. He swallowed, suddenly grateful for her warning. What are they? He asked, his voice quiet. The woman paused as if searching for words that would fit into human speech. Finally, she said, Not beasts, not gods, something between. Reed's skin prickled at the thought. Monsters that were neither animal nor divine, but something older, stranger. He glanced back at his broken ship far behind them, realizing how close he had been to stumbling into the forest alone. Without her, he would already be nothing but prey. The realization twisted inside him, a mix of relief and fear. The woman lifted her hand, drawing symbols in the air, glowing lines that drifted like sparks. The growls softened, the shadows stilled, and the forest seemed to breathe slower. Reed watched, wide-eyed. You're keeping them asleep, he said. She nodded, her silver lines dimming. Adjust their dream, she whispered. Reed's heart pounded faster. This power she carried, it was not just healing or fixing, it was balance. She was tuning predators like instruments, keeping them quiet when they should roar. That was more frightening than any weapon he had ever seen. Because if she could adjust monsters, what could she do to him? The woman turned to face him again, her gaze hard now. You must listen, she said. Each word slower and clearer than before. This world. It feels you. Reed blinked, confused. Feels me? She tapped her chest, then pointed at him. Your heart beats wrong here. Your machine heart beats louder. Reed froze, his stomach twisting. The AI core. She could sense it beating like a second heart, calling to the creatures in the forest. He clenched his fists. Why are you helping me then? If I carry danger to your world, why not leave me to die? Her expression softened again, sadness clouding her golden eyes. Because choice, she whispered. If you die alone, no change. If you live, maybe change, Reed stared at her, trying to read her meaning. She was not saving him out of kindness alone. She was gambling. Somehow she believed his survival might shift something greater. That thought both comforted and terrified him. The forest growled again, and the woman raised her hand quickly, forcing the sound back into silence. Her voice sharpened, urgent now. You cannot go in. Not yet. Reed nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on the shadows. He understood now. The forest was a living trap waiting for him, and only her presence kept him from walking into death. She stepped closer, lowering her hand to his chest again. Reed stiffened, but she only whispered, Adjust you again. Warmth flowed into him, his body lighter, his vision clearer. He felt the pulse of the world around him as if for the first time. The air hummed with unseen patterns, and the ground beneath him vibrated with quiet rhythm. It was terrifying and beautiful all at once. Reed looked at her with new eyes, his voice low. "You're not just saving me, are you? You're preparing me." The woman tilted her head but gave no answer. Her silence was louder than any words. Because in that silence Reed realized the truth. She was warning him not only about the monsters, but about himself, about what he carried. The forest loomed behind her, the growls fading into restless dreams. The alien sky burned above them, strange stars watching, and between it all, Reed stood at the edge of two fates. To move forward blindly meant death. To listen to her meant walking into mystery. Her voice broke the silence once more, calm but firm. "Wait, let me adjust before you move." Reed's jaw tightened, his heart pounding as he whispered back, "Then adjust me, because I'm not ready to face this alone." The alien woman walked ahead, her glowing silver markings showing the path like soft fire. Captain Reed followed close behind, every step heavy with questions he could not yet ask. The forest lay to their right, dark and waiting, its growls fading into uneasy silence. To their left stretched open plains covered in strange plants that glowed like lanterns, bending with each breath of the wind. The world felt alive, watching, shifting, whispering. Reed's thoughts were restless. He had been trained to survive in hostile conditions, to face storms, hunger, and enemies. But nothing in his training had prepared him for an alien guide who spoke of adjustment and balance. Her words repeated in his head like a haunting song. "Wait, let me adjust before you move." He was alive because of her, but he still didn't know why she chose him, or why she risked her life to keep him safe. The woman finally spoke, her voice soft but steady. "My name, Leora," she said, tapping her chest gently. Reed nodded slowly, repeating the word, "Leora." Her golden eyes softened as if pleased he remembered it. He hesitated before saying his own. "Reed." "Captain Reed." Leora tilted her head, trying to shape the sounds with her lips. "Reed," she repeated, the name sounding strange yet careful on her tongue. For the first time since his crash, Reed felt something almost human, connection. They walked in silence for a while, the sky above shifting as twin moons moved across it. Shadows danced along the ground, and the glowing plants dimmed when clouds drifted by. Reed studied Leora as they walked. She moved with confidence, but her eyes never stopped scanning the horizon. Every step seemed measured, as if she knew the rhythm of the land itself. Her silver lines brightened and dimmed like a living map of energy. Finally, Reed broke the silence. "You said I carry something dangerous," he said quietly. Leora stopped, her gaze sharp as she turned to him. "Yes," she whispered, "it beats wrong." Reed clenched his jaw, choosing his words carefully. "It's not a weapon," he said. "It's technology. Human technology, meant to help us." Leora's golden eyes narrowed, her voice low. "Help or break?" Her question cut deep, leaving him with no easy answer. Before Reed could respond, a sudden screech echoed across the plains. Both of them froze, their eyes turning toward the source. In the distance, a massive creature rose from the glowing grass, its body covered in shifting crystal plates, its wings spread wide, catching the moonlight like knives. Reed instinctively raised his weapon, but Leora touched his arm quickly, shaking her head. "Not fight," she whispered. "Not yet." The creature's glowing eyes scanned the land, its screech shaking the air. Reed's instincts screamed at him to fire, but Leora's calm presence held him in place. She raised her hand, tracing glowing marks in the air. The creature froze mid-step, its head tilting as if caught in a dream. Slowly it lowered its wings and turned away, vanishing into the dark horizon. Reed's breath shook as he whispered, "You saved us again." Leora lowered her hand, her silver lines dimming with exhaustion. "Adjust," she said simply, though her voice trembled this time. They continued their journey, Reed now aware of how much her power cost her. Every time she adjusted the world, she grew weaker. He felt a pang of guilt knowing she risked herself for him. A stranger from the sky, yet at the same time, admiration grew inside him. She was not protecting him for gain or conquest, but for something deeper. Still, her motives remained hidden like shadows behind golden light. As they moved further, Reed asked, "Why did you come to me? Why not leave me in the wreck?" Leora slowed her steps, her eyes lifting toward the strange stars. Her voice was quiet, heavy with memory. Long ago. I saw your kind, she said. Reed frowned. Humans here? She nodded slowly, her expression distant. Far skyship passed once. Did not land. But I saw, from far. Her voice grew softer. I wondered always. What human is like close? Reed's chest tightened at her words. So she had chosen to help him not just from duty, but from curiosity. She had risked everything for a chance to understand the strangers from the stars, and now here they were walking side by side under alien moons. It was almost too much to believe. Leora stopped suddenly, her hand lifting. The ground ahead shimmered like water, though no river flowed there. She crouched low, touching the soil. The silver lines across her body pulsed bright. She turned to Reed and said firmly, Do not step. Danger sleeps under. Reed peered at the ground, seeing nothing but dirt and grass. But when he leaned closer, the earth shifted slightly, as if something massive stirred beneath. He stepped back quickly, his heart racing. Without you, I'd be dead 100 times already, he muttered, half to himself. Leora looked at him, her golden eyes unreadable. You listen, she said softly. That is why you live. They walked again, this time closer together. The silence between them heavier but no longer hostile. Reed's doubts did not vanish, but trust began to take root like fragile seeds. Each step forward carried not only the weight of survival, but also the beginning of something more. A partnership born from danger, mystery, and the strange adjustment that bound them. The plains stretched on, the forest shadows watching from a distance. Above them the moons drifted apart, revealing more stars than Reed had ever seen in his life. In that moment he realized something profound. This journey was not just about reaching safety. It was about learning what it meant to walk beside someone utterly alien, and maybe, just maybe, what it meant for humans and her kind to walk together. The plains stretched behind them, silent now except for the whisper of alien wind. Captain Reed walked close to Leora, his eyes scanning the glowing land. His mind heavy with questions. He had trusted her this far, but her words about the dangerous thing inside his ship haunted him like a shadow. He needed answers, yet he feared the moment she gave them. They stopped at the edge of a cliff where the ground dropped sharply into a valley filled with strange blue mist. From above, the mist glowed like liquid light. Curling and twisting as if alive, Leora knelt near the edge, her silver markings glowing brighter as she touched the ground. This place safe for now, she said softly, her voice carrying both relief and warning. Reed sat on a broken stone nearby, his chest heavy. He could no longer keep silent. What do you know about my ship? He asked firmly, his voice sharper than before. Leora lifted her golden eyes, the glow inside them flickering like fire. She did not answer immediately, instead drawing slow shapes in the air with her finger. The glowing marks drifted like falling sparks before fading into nothing. Finally, she whispered, It calls too loud. Reed leaned forward, his jaw tightening. You mean the AI core, he said. The words leaving his lips like a confession. Leora tilted her head slowly. Core, yes, she said carefully. A machine heart, but too loud, too bright. Reed clenched his fists, his pulse racing. How could you know that? You've never even seen it. Her gaze did not waver. I feel it, same as forests, same as beasts. It sings in wrong rhythm. Reed's heart sank. The AI core was humanity's secret project, built to send signals across impossible distances. It was designed to bend communication through folds of space, but it was unstable. If she could sense it from so far, then maybe the monsters could too. Maybe his crash had awakened more than he realized. Leora's voice grew sharper. That thing must not wake fully here. Reed stood quickly, anger rising in his chest. It's not dangerous for humans, he argued. It's meant to help us survive, to connect across the stars. Her golden eyes narrowed, glowing brighter. For you maybe, but for my world it is poison. She placed her hand against the ground, and the soil beneath them trembled softly. Already the sleeping ones stir. They hear it. They want it. Reed turned away, pacing. He had been trained to protect the core at all costs, even if it meant dying with it. But here was an alien telling him that his mission might doom her world. The conflict tore at him like blades. Was he a protector of human progress? Or a destroyer of alien balance? Leora stood and walked closer, her voice low. When I first touched you, I felt the core through you, she whispered. It beats inside your steps, it shines in your shadow. Reed froze. his stomach twisting. You mean it's connected to me? She nodded, her markings flickering like a storm. It listens to your heart, maybe even hides inside it. The thought made his blood run cold. The core was not supposed to link with his body, but in the chaos of the crash, maybe something had gone wrong. Maybe the energy of this world had pulled it closer to him, fusing in ways human science could not predict. He clenched his fists, his voice rough. If what you're saying is true, then I'm the danger, not just the core. Leora's eyes softened, sadness flickering across her face. Yes, she said gently, but you can also be the shield. Choice is yours. Reed stared at her, torn between anger and fear. You came to stop it, didn't you? He asked, his voice accusing. Her silence was his answer. She had not saved him just out of mercy. She had saved him to keep the core from destroying her world. Reed felt betrayal burn in his chest. So what now? He asked bitterly. Do you kill me before I bring ruin? Is that your plan? Leora stepped closer, her voice firm but not cruel. If I wanted that, you would already be gone, she said. I do not want to kill. I want to adjust, her golden eyes glowed bright, piercing. But you must choose what you are. Human heart or machine heart. Reed's breath shook. His mind racing, he thought of his orders, his duty, his loyalty to humanity. Then he thought of her world, of the balance she fought to protect. The weight of both fates pressed on him like mountains. The valley below shifted, the blue mist curling into shapes like hands reaching upward. A low rumble echoed through the air, the ground trembling under their feet. Reed looked down and realized the danger was already rising. The core's energy was calling to things far below, things waking from endless sleep. Leora's voice cut through the tremor, steady and urgent. Now you see, she said, why I warned you, why you must not move without me. She stepped closer, placing her hand gently against his chest once more. Her silver markings flared, and Reed felt warmth flood his body. You are not enemy, she whispered, but you carry enemy inside. Reed's heart pounded as he realized the truth. Her help was not only saving him, it was keeping the world safe from him. The secret was out, and his survival was tied not only to her power, but to her trust, and for the first time, Reed wondered if he could trust himself. The ground trembled beneath Captain Reed's boots. A deep growl echoed from the valley below, rumbling like thunder trapped under the earth. The glowing blue mist swirled faster, curling upward as if pulled by invisible claws. Reed's heart raced, his hand tightening on his weapon, though he knew it would not be enough. Beside him, Leora's silver markings flared bright. Her golden eyes narrowed as she whispered, "It wakes." Reed swallowed hard, the weight of her words sinking into his chest. The thing she had warned him about. The old hunger sleeping under the land was now rising, and he knew the AI core's energy had called it. The mist split apart as a massive shadow climbed upward. At first, Reed thought it was many creatures, but as the shape formed, he realized it was one, a beast taller than the trees, its body covered in jagged plates of crystal that pulsed with red light. Its eyes glowed like fire, its breath shaking the air with every exhale. When it roared, the valley walls cracked. Dust raining down in clouds, Reed stumbled back. His weapon shaking in his hands, he fired. The shot echoing across the valley, the bullet sparked against the crystal hide, leaving nothing but shallow marks. The monster didn't even flinch. Its gaze locking on him with burning hunger, it moved forward, each step shaking the ground like an earthquake. Leora stepped in front of him, her voice sharp. "Stop," Reed shouted. "We can't fight that." But she raised her hand, glowing lines spilling into the air, her body lit like fire, the silver marks twisting and spinning across her skin. The beast roared again, lowering its head as if ready to strike. Leora's voice cut through the noise, calm but firm. "Wait, let me adjust before you move." Reed froze, his body trembling. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to fire, to do something. But her words held him still. He watched as the glow from her body spread outward in waves. Reaching the monster, the air shimmered like rippling water, pressing against the beast's crystal hide. The monster staggered, its roar breaking into a low growl. Its red eyes flickered, its massive claws slowing. Reed's breath caught in his throat as he realized what she was doing. She wasn't attacking the beast, she was changing it, adjusting its energy the same way she had adjusted him. The beast shook violently, its body thrashing as if resisting her power. The ground split beneath its weight, rocks tumbling into the mist below. Leora's eyes burned with light, her face tense with strain. Her voice cracked as she whispered, Hold still, human. Do not break the balance, Reed clenched his fists. Wanting to help but powerless, he could see her weakening, her body trembling as the silver light flickered. The monster roared again. The sound shaking his bones, it lunged forward, and for a moment Reed thought it would crush them both. But then the light from Leora flared so bright it blinded him. When his vision cleared, the beast stood frozen. Its eyes no longer burned with red hunger, but dimmed to a dull glow. It turned its massive head slowly, as if confused, then with a final huff of breath, it stepped back into the mist. Disappearing into the valley below, the ground stilled. The growls fading into silence, Reed gasped, his chest heaving as if he had run a marathon. Leora staggered, her silver lines fading dim. Her golden eyes weak, Reed caught her before she could fall. Holding her steady, "You saved us," he whispered. Disbelief in his voice, she shook her head faintly, her lips curling in a faint, tired smile. "Not save, only adjust," Reed looked at her, still holding her upright. "That thing would have killed us both," he said, his voice shaking. Leora's golden eyes met his. "No, it would have killed you." Her words struck him like a blade. She had risked everything, drained her strength just to keep him alive. Reed's chest tightened, guilt pressing down heavy. "It was the core," he muttered. "It called the monster, didn't it?" Leora nodded weakly. "Yes. Your machine heart sings too loud." Reed clenched his fists, staring down into the mist where the beast had vanished. His mission, his orders, his duty, they were all tearing the world apart. Leora's voice broke his thoughts, soft but firm. "You see now why you cannot move without me." Reed helped her sit on a rock, his mind racing with fear and questions. He whispered, "Why would you risk yourself for me? If the core is the danger, why not let me die?" Her golden eyes softened again, glowing faintly in the dark. "Because human heart can still choose," she said slowly. "Maybe you are danger, but maybe you are hope." Reed stared at her, the weight of her words sinking deep. For the first time since the crash, he felt something new, not just fear, but responsibility if the core was tied to him. Then his choices mattered more than he ever realized. The monster had been proof, and Leora's sacrifice had been the price. Above them, the alien sky burned brighter, the stars shifting as if watching. The silence around them was heavy, broken only by the faint hum of the land. Reed tightened his grip on his weapon, but this time he didn't raise it. Instead, he whispered to himself, "Maybe she's right. Maybe survival was no longer about fighting alone. Maybe it was about adjusting, together." The night grew still after the monster vanished into the mist. Captain Reed sat beside Leora, his body trembling from the memory of the beast's roar. Her silver markings had faded to a dim glow, her golden eyes heavy with exhaustion. She had risked herself to save him, adjusting the monster's hunger into silence, and now the weight of her sacrifice pressed on Reed's chest like iron. For a long time, neither spoke. The alien sky stretched above them, filled with strange constellations and twin moons glowing pale. Reed finally broke the silence, his voice low. "You didn't have to do that," he said, his throat dry. "You could have let me die, and your world would be safe." Leora's eyes flickered open, her voice soft but steady. "If you die." "Nothing changes," she whispered. "If you live, maybe change comes." Her words echoed the truth he had begun to realize. She was not saving him for pity nor for weakness. She was saving him because she believed in the possibility of choice. And that choice now rested in his hands. Reed stared out at the valley, the blue mist shifting like restless breath. The AI core in his broken ship called to him even now. He could almost feel its energy pulsing inside his chest. It was like carrying a second heart, one that did not beat for life, but for danger. He whispered to himself, "What if I can't control it?" Leora leaned weakly against the rock, her gaze fixed on him. "Then you must learn," she said. "Machine heart is loud, but human heart can guide." Reed turned toward her, confusion and fear battling inside him. "You think I can stop it?" Her faint smile was almost sad. "Not stop. Adjust." The word struck him again. Adjust. It was more than healing, more than power. It was a way of living, a way of balancing chaos and survival. Leora had shown him through every step, through every danger. And now she was teaching him that the choice to adjust lay within him too. Reed stood slowly, looking back toward the glowing horizon. He thought of humanity, of the commanders who had sent him here, of the mission that demanded he protect the AI core. But he also thought of this world, of Leora, of the monsters kept in fragile sleep by her power. If humans misused the core, this planet would burn. And perhaps more than this planet, perhaps many worlds would suffer. His hands tightened into fists for the first time. He saw his orders not as duty but as a danger. He looked back at Leora and said, "Maybe it's not just about surviving. Maybe it's about making sure no one else pays the price for our mistakes." Her golden eyes brightened faintly. "Yes," she whispered, "that is why I helped you." The silence stretched again, broken by the hum of the land around them. Then Reed asked the question that had been burning in his mind. "What happens when I leave? What happens if humans come back with more cores, more machines?" Leora's face turned serious, her voice quiet but sharp. "Then my people will not adjust again," she said. "Next time, we will fight." Her words cut deep, but they also carried a strange honesty. Reed nodded slowly, understanding the weight of her warning. This was not blind mercy. It was a single chance. A fragile bridge between two worlds. If humanity abused it, the balance would shatter forever. Reed helped her stand, steadying her as she regained strength. Her silver lines glowed faintly again, the rhythm of her energy returning. Together they began walking back toward the wreck of his ship. The land around them felt calmer now, as if the monster's silence had spread across the valley. For the first time since the crash, Reed felt hope, fragile but real. When they reached the broken vessel, Reed stopped, staring at the shattered hull. Inside, the AI core pulsed faint red, its glow leaking through cracked panels. He took a deep breath, feeling its pull. Leora stood beside him, her gaze fixed on the same light. "Do not let it rule you," she said firmly. "Do not let humans use it blindly." Reed turned to her, his voice steady. "I'll protect it," he said. "I'll make sure it never burns your world, or any world." Her golden eyes studied him carefully, as if weighing his soul, then she nodded slowly. "Then you are not just human heart, not just machine heart. You are choice." Reed felt the words sink deep into him. He had come to this world as a survivor, a soldier, a protector of technology, but now he stood as something more, a bridge between humanity and something far older. The crash, the monsters, the adjustments, they had all led him here. To this decision as dawn began to rise, the alien sky painted in hues of silver and blue. Leora stepped back. Her voice carried both warning and promise. "Maybe next time. I will not adjust for you," she said softly. "Maybe next time, you must adjust yourself." Reed met her gaze, his voice quiet but strong. "Then I'll be ready." And as the light spread across the alien world, Reed realized the truth. This was not just survival, not just chance. It was the beginning of something greater. A fragile bond, a warning, and perhaps a new kind of hope.